First of all, L'chaim, good Yom Tov, Guten Moed, everyone. Today is the fourth day of Pesach. We all say L'chaim for the fourth day of Pesach. Every day of Yom Tov, we're supposed to have a special L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. So, today is the fourth day of Pesach. I want to share with you a story. First of all, today, being the fourth day of Pesach, in the original Pesach, when the Jews were in Mitzrayim, this was in the year 2448. Remember, if you look at the Torah, the Jews asked for, by Paro, they only asked to escape, to leave Egypt for 3 days. So, from the time Moses came, from time number one, from meeting number one with Pharaoh, Moses only asked Pharaoh to leave for 3 days. In fact, that's what he told the Jews as well. So from the plague of blood to the plague of the firstborn, Pharaoh was under the impression that they're leaving for 3 days only. In fact, when Pharaoh sent the Jews out of Egypt, he sent shluchim, he sent messengers with them to make sure that they're returning after 3 days. So after 3 days, which is today, which is the fourth day of Passover, the messengers told the Jews, okay, it's time to return to Egypt. So the Jews said to the messengers, we are not returning. And not only did they not return, they actually went a little bit closer back to Egypt and to make a statement kind of that we are, even though we're going back to Egypt, we're not. We're staying right where we are. We are absolutely not going back to Egypt. So that happened today. That's what's so special about today, which is the fourth day of Passover, the fourth day of Pesach. So therefore, we have to say a special l'chaim today. In our own going out of Egypt, in our own exodus from Egypt, which is going out of our own boundaries and our own limitations, we also have to make sure that today we tell our boundaries and limitations, the Yetzer Hara, we will not go back to the situation the way it was. First of all, l'chaim, l'chaim, wish everybody health and happiness and peace. So, the story that I want to share with you is as follows. The story happened on the fourth day of Passover, on Pesach, 1902, that's 118 years ago. It was at the bris of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Rebbe was born on Yud Aleph Nisan, the 11th day of Nisan, so his bris was 118 years ago on the 18th of Nisan, the fourth day of Pesach. His bris happened in the home of his grandfather, Rabbi Meir Shlomo Yanovsky. So at the bris, when all the guests came, it was on the fourth day of Pesach. At the bris, you're supposed to have a meal afterwards. So one of the guests was Reb Osher Grossman. Reb Osher Grossman was a friend of the grandfather of the Rebbe, Meir Shlomo Yanovsky. So Meir Shlomo Yanovsky noticed that Reb Osher is not eating anything. So he told him, why are you not eating? I'm the rabbi of the town. The grandfather of the Rebbe was the rabbi of that town of Nikolaev, the town in Ukraine where the Rebbe was born. He said, why are you not eating anything? So he said, I'm not eating anything because I have a special stringency on Pesach that I only eat in my own home. I do not eat anywhere else. On Pesach there are many, many different stringencies. For example, in our own personal home, we don't eat any fruit that hasn't been peeled. You want to eat an apple, you need to peel it. You want to eat a strawberry, you need to peel it. You want to eat a tomato, you need to peel it. In our home, different stringencies. We don't eat matzah. We don't put on the matzah any cheese, any avocado. If the kids want to eat matzah with avocado, they need to eat matzah from a bag. There's like one course, the matzah, and then they eat the avocado separately. We don't mix anything on the matzah because of shruya. It's called, the point is there's different chumrot, there's different stringencies regarding Passover. The Arizal actually says, Kol hanizhar b'mashehu chametz. Whoever's careful with a dot of chametz on Pesach, muftach lo, it's promised to him that he won't sin an entire year. Chametz versus matzah is arrogance versus humility. So we want to make sure that we have absolutely no chametz, no arrogance on Passover, and therefore people are very, very, very stringent, take these stringencies to the point of craziness, and that is why Reb Asher Grossman said to the Rav, the rabbi of the town, I know you're the rabbi, I know there's nobody more stringent than you on Pesach. However, I only eat in my own home on Pesach. So the rabbi told him, Meir Shlomo Yanofsky told him, the truth is that I should be offended. However, since you saved my life, I cannot be offended. And what was the story of Reb Asher Grossman saving the life of Meir Shlomo Yanofsky? Meir Shlomo Yanofsky, a couple of years before that, had acquired the disease called typhus. And typhus, there was no cure. Just like today, the coronavirus has no cure. God willing, they will find a vaccine very, very soon and a cure. But right now, it has no cure. So the only way of taking care of the typhus then was through quarantine. And this is what they did. This is probably 150, 200 years ago. They had a quarantine. So Meir Shlomo Yanofsky, the grandfather of the Rebbe, got the typhus, and he was in a bad predicament. He was in a bad state. They put anybody and everybody who had typhus, the dreaded disease, they put them in quarantine. They put them in a camp outside of the city where everybody was. By the way, the Ramah 500 years ago writes that if there's a plague in the city, you should immediately leave the city. So they talked about quarantine even 500 years ago. But Rabbi Meir Shlomo Yanofsky was put in quarantine, and he had typhus. And the people who had typhus, when they were there, they got weaker and weaker by the day, and many of them unfortunately passed away. So while he was there, Reb Asher Grossman, who was a very, very good friend of this person, decided that he's going to try learn Torah with this man. So he went to the closest place that he was able to, where he was allowed to go, and he couldn't see Reb Meir Shlomo Yanofsky. He didn't know if he was there, he wasn't there, he didn't know if he could hear him or not, but he wanted to encourage him. He wanted to he wanted to be mechazik him, to strengthen him. He wanted to give him something that with this something he could thrive and survive. So he read for him a portion in Tanya that discusses the following issue. And this issue which I'm going to discuss is so relevant and so prevalent today in our lives today with Corona. And this is the answer, the response to the friend who told me he's overwhelmed by all the problems which Corona is causing. Just staying with his kids the whole day, he's going crazy, and his business is shut down. By the way, this is called Chesed Shel Emet. It's a true kindness. When normally, when you do something kind to somebody, you are expecting something in reciprocation. When you do kindness to somebody who's ill and God forbid won't even make it, that's called Chesed Shel Emet. That's why any Chesed kindness with a Chevra Kadishos or burying somebody is called Chesed Shel Emet. The true kindness because you're not expecting anything in return. So here's what he read for him, the portion of Tanya. The explanation is as follows, and I'll preface this with the story. There's a rabbi and a priest having an argument. Does God exist? Where does he exist? How does he exist? In what way does he exist? In what form does he exist? So the rabbi and the priest, they're going back and forth. The priest is smart, the rabbi is intelligent, they're getting nowhere. After a while, the rabbi says, listen, I got kids at home, I got to go, but I'll leave you off with one statement that I'm sure you will agree with me. And the priest says, what is that? And the rabbi says, here's the statement. You as a priest are thinking the whole day about God. And me as a rabbi, I'm thinking the whole day about myself. So the priest thinks, the rabbi is thinking about himself, that means he's more material. I'm thinking about God, that means I'm more spiritual. I can agree with that, fine, done. They each go to their own house. In the morning, the rabbi gets a knock on the door and the priest is there, and the priest says, Rabbi, I just need to understand, what did you mean when you said, I'm thinking the whole day about God and you thinking about yourself? I know you meant something deep and spiritual here. I don't know what it is. I spent a sleepless night. Please tell me. So the rabbi says as follows. A baby is born. He's born with its fists clenched, signifying I'm going to conquer the world. I'm going to become rich and famous and powerful. A person lives his or her life through their own eyes. Everything exists around me. Give a baby a toy to play with, and the toy is mine. It's very hard for a baby to share the toy because life evolves around me. And the child grows up, goes to elementary school, and it's very cute that the child doesn't want to share, the 2-year-old child doesn't want to share his toys with his 8-year-old sibling. But when the child goes to elementary and high school and becomes an adult and he lives his life like that, it's sad, it's not cute anymore. But that's how we live our lives. If my little finger hurts, the world has to stop. If my friend is, God forbid, dying in hospital, I'll pray for him or her, I'll do whatever I can, but do I really care as if it's myself? No, because I live my life evolving around my own eyes. So the rabbi says to the priest, you are thinking about God. Why? And I don't mean the priest over here, I mean everybody. This notion of I exist. The question is, does God exist in my world? So who am I thinking about the whole day, says the rabbi? God. Because I know that I exist. I don't need to think whether I exist. Do I exist? In what form do I exist? In what way do I know I exist. What do you mean? How do I know I exist? I'm here. Hello. I'm right here. I exist. The question is, what role does God play in my world? The rabbi says, on the other hand, if you look at life through a deeper dimension, and the deeper dimension states that the truth is God exists. That is the truth. I'm thinking about myself the whole day because the question is, what relevance do I play in God's world? What is your given? The given is God exists. God is the truth. It's like there's two dimensions happening at the same time. There's one superficial dimension which I see through my own eyes. I live my life through my own eyes, but that's a very, very superficial way of living. Close your eyes, meditate, contemplate, allow yourself to realize that there's something much, much deeper than this happening. God is the truth. God exists. The question is, what role do I play in his existence? You see, God created the world 5,780 years ago. Something from nothing. There was nothing, and then there was something. God created the world something from nothing. You see the difference between something from something as opposed to something from nothing? When I create a building, I'm not creating something new, I'm creating something from something. So I got the cement, I got the tar, I got everything, I've got the glass, I got the tiles, I got everything, and then I can go to sleep after I've done the building. I don't need to be there. But when somebody creates something new, something from nothing, I need to be there the entire time, creating and recreating and recreating and recreating. And I'll give you an example. If you take something, a stone, and you throw it in the air, right? You take something, you take a pen, and you throw it in the air, it goes up, and then it comes down. Why does it come down? Because of gravity. But why does it go up? Because the power in my hand, the force taking it up, is stronger than the power of the gravity to take it down. But the moment you see it's going up, there's a force, and then it goes down because the power of gravity is greater. The point is that in order to create something new, to go against the natural tendency of the pen to go down, I need a force inside it, inside, and then it goes down. And the same thing is with God. God created the world 5,780 years ago, but he's actually creating and recreating and recreating and recreating and recreating the world every single moment, every single second for the last 5,780 years. And if he would cease for 1 minute to create the world would cease to exist. The world would stop. The world would go kaput. That means, and this is the point that Reb Asher was conveying to his friend in quarantine, and this is what he was learning with him every single day for 30 days. The point is that when you realize, when you think for a moment, oh, I got problems, I don't have a job, but I have my kids at home, I'm in quarantine, what's going to be? But then you think deeper. Look deeper beyond the surface and you realize that there's a God running the world. Not only is he running the world, but he's creating and recreating the world every single moment, every single day. Think, meditate upon that concept, and your problems automatically go away. Because God is in control. God exists. So this is the point, the part of Tanya that Reb Asher explained every single day to Meir Shlomo, and he didn't even know if he was listening or not listening. And after 30 days, Meir Shlomo Yanovsky comes out And he said, you know what saved my life? You know what gave me strength every day? Hearing, learning that concept and meditating upon it. That God exists, that God is creating the world again and again and again every single moment. That is what gave me the strength to overcome this deadly disease of typhus and to come back to the living. And that's why he told him, when you come to my house and you don't want to eat anything, I'm good. We best buddies, we best friends. There's tremendous lessons from the story, but the main point of the story is that if you actually take time in quarantine, we all have extra time on our hands to meditate, to contemplate every day the existence of God, how he's creating the world ex nihilo, something from nothing, every moment of every day. You will realize that today, now, this second, God creates, next second he creates, next second he creates. I don't have any problems, I don't have any issues. God is totally in control. L'chaim, l'chaim, for the 4th day of Pesach, may we all recover from this coronavirus. May none of us get sick, and may God give the doctors the wisdom to get a vaccine for this coronavirus. L'chaim.